important to establish scale. So we're across 60 countries. We have about 4,000 apartments that are on our own account, so leased, managed, essentially owned. Okay, and then there's approximately 50,000 that are in a direct supply chain, smaller companies than ours that depend on us for distribution. So hence, it becomes the notion of a brand. For that travel buyer, we have a very specific platform that provides them peace of mind from both a delivery standpoint, one point of entry to anywhere in the world, with any city, and then the reporting and the working capital capability to give them one bill. So we make it easy, and we will embed in an organization as an adjunct or as a support service within their purchasing department. Fundamentals are all the same. And so what's common across the markets is that we underwrite like a real estate company. So we underwrite, we actually buy approximately 10,000 leases a year. So there's lots of transactions. Some are long, some are short. So the principles of that are driven by multifamily or buy-to-let market and that supply that we depend on for our products. So it's very dynamic. We run 94% occupancy for the portfolio, whereas, hotels in similar markets may run in the 60s. So our yield per square meter and our yield per square foot is much higher. So what's different in the markets, London and New York behave similarly. The high density, high demand, lack of space. You can either go up or out. So that compression is in place. As you'd expect, Paris is very different than London because of its transient, non-corporate market to a large extent. And then so look at DC, and a lot of them have many of the same dynamics. Probably some of the more interesting dynamics occur when you branch out, and we have operations in Delhi, Singapore. They become very different in the uses of those buildings and the type of investors. A lot more institutional owners in New York and London. You move to, India, there's a large investment buy-to-let economy that they're looking then for a use of that apartment that they then think of putting it into, could it be with a direct let or serviced apartments. So that dynamic changes dramatically the further you go east. And then you have, markets very similar to that in Dubai and other markets like that have that overbuilt status, and then they're trying to find best use for it. And, we can fill some of that gap too. The development community and the banks are looking for highest and best use. So is it an office building? Is it where the office uses or the office vacancies are running 16, 18%? You've got to do something else different with that. So where we can slot in where the hotel brands are having difficulty is we can actually slot into an office building and take the top 10 floors. We're very flexible as to where we are in that debt stack, right? And the capital stack for a developer, and the banks are starting to look at us very different. So for us, actually, major markets with office vacancy is actually an opportunity for us. So our strategy is to really focus on about 30 markets globally that have those problems, because we're a great solution for that. It fits very nice. You kind of think of it, we're a corporately focused brand. So you have office buildings, you put a corporate accommodation in there. It has a different but predictable revenue stream. And that complements very nicely with the vacancy that you see in offices. So that's one strategy. The second strategy is working with multi-family developers that are taking longer-term positions in apartments versus the 4-story or 2-story stick construction that had sprawl. So we're actually a very good anchor in buildings of that type, where we may take 30 apartments of a 200 apartment development. So it gives them nice predictability of underwrite, because we run 95% occupancy. So that's appealing. So the actual change in the demographic is a big driver for us when it comes to the average, person somewhere between 26 and 35 are going to have 10 to 15 jobs in their lifetime. They're mobile, and oftentimes not carrying furniture with them. And so we filled that void as well for companies, individuals, where you can rent from us for 6 or 8 weeks or 3 years, fully serviced. That's a new product that's quite appealing to a wider demographic. So densities are great for us, whereas probably some of the secondary markets will fulfill through a supply chain. Airbnb has done us all a great favor of making unusual spaces, or spaces that the typical consumer wouldn't contemplate, as bringing it to frontal lobe, front of mind thinking when they think of a hospitality experience or length of stay experience. So on the surface, I think it's been great about the sharing economy, trying to bringing a conversation about what we would classify ourselves as the experiential economy. So you're going to experience a community in a structured environment. You're going to experience a bar, you're going to experience a restaurant, you're going to experience a garden, you're going to experience a museum. But that wasn't front of mind. It's broadened the audience of travel. It's brought out people to discuss what is an experience, be it a boat, a tree, an apartment, a room. That has had zero effect on our business at this point. We see our share as being unlimited. There's many companies that we work with today across pharmaceutical, consulting, movies, the movie and entertainment industry, healthcare, long-term healthcare, as yet untouched in our space. So Airbnb is bringing a dialogue. I think I'd bucket in that it's creating a dialogue. Just like Uber is creating a dialogue, Airbnb is creating a dialogue, and I think it's very healthy.